Hey loves, today's guest is not just building brands, he's building the future of African digital. Raised between Nairobi and Webuye, shaped by curiosity and global exposure, from Strathmore University to AIESEC, an early experience in Mexico, he turned perspective into power. From those foundations, he rose through major digital and media leadership roles to become co-CEO of Denso Kenya, driving digital performance and transformation across Africa. But his story doesn't stop at boardrooms and campaigns. He is also the co-founder of Africa Creative Agency, a platform amplifying African creative talent to the world. Because for him, leadership isn't just about growth metrics, it's about investing in people and shifting narratives. His journey blends technology, storytelling, resilience, and bold innovation. This conversation is about vision. It's about building from Kenya to the world. It's about what happens when creativity meets strategy and purpose meets execution. Ladies and gentlemen, Joel Rao.
Thank you.
Hi, Rao.
Hi,
How are you?
Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for making the time.
Yeah.
We've rescheduled this. Now, let's just dive right into it. We've heard about AIESEC a lot in your stories and interviews at
Yes.
Strathmore.
Yeah.
How did that expose you, and what did the experience do to your life trajectory?
Man, AIESEC really opened up my world, first and foremost. One of the really interesting things when it came to the way I came across AIESEC, I think I told this story before. And for those of you who don't know, I'll just quickly, revisit it. One of the really interesting things that happened for me just right after high school was I got the opportunity to do a small job with one of the major banks here in Nairobi. And the whole idea behind it was, to market a children's account. So actually the bank was NIC Bank. Well, now it's NCBA. Yeah. So the bank account was Young Movers account. I'll never forget. Coincidentally, my career right now is involved with quite a lot of banks. Yes. When I connect the dots,
It all made sense.
It all makes sense eventually.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting is that when I was in that room, there were a bunch of young people also. All dressed up. And I remember very well, my auntie told me, hey, if you go to this room and they ask you where you're from, don't you dare tell them, I'm the one who gave you this opportunity.
Oh, it was a connection.
It was a connection that I got, yeah. Thanks, auntie. So anyway, long story short is when I went into the room, I went and sat at the back, back corner. Exactly. And when I was there, what was really interesting was sat down and I started, listening to people have conversations, right before the meeting started. Conversations like, oh my gosh, we're traveling to India for International Congress. Oh, I'm a speaker at the Youth Congress happening in India, the youth track happening in India. I'm like, who the heck are these young people? And then another one that really intrigued me was, oh, by the way, we had our board of advisors meeting hosted by the CEO of the Nairobi Securities Exchange. And I'm like, these people look like me.
But yet they're board members, apparently.
They're like having conversations with board members, having conversation with C-suite. And one of the really interesting things that happened in that conversation was like, in fact, Amos Wako, then I think he was the Attorney General.
Yes.
Amos Wako is going to be hosting us for our annual Sunday lunch for AIESEC leaders.
Oh.
And I'm like, it didn't register AIESEC at that time. So in my mind, I'm just thinking like Nairobi Securities Exchange, International Congress in India, speaker at the Youth Summit. There's a lot happening, and I'm like, it's
you
really
didn't link where all this is
coming from.
Yeah.
But they seem like a group of people who probably have known each other for some time, they've met probably once, or they know of each other. So when the marketing director came, I recently connected with her on LinkedIn. I finally found her.
You found her?
If I ever have a podcast,
After years.
if I ever have a podcast, she's going to be my first. But anyway, really interesting thing happened. She came into the room and she was like, "Hey guys, just introduce yourself and tell us which AIESEC chapter you're from.
Oh.
I was like, what the hell? Everyone started talking about, hey, my name is so-and-so. I'm from AIESEC in University of Nairobi. I'm so-and-so. I'm from AIESEC in USIU. I'm so-and-so. I'm from AIESEC in Catholic University. I was seated at the back, at the corner. I can't say that it was back left, but I can't remember. But anyway, all I remember was that I was dressed up in brown, my light skin. And after everyone had introduced themselves, she then looked at me and she was like, yeah, young man at the corner, stand up and introduce yourself. And I stood up quietly. I'm dripping sweat in every crevice of my body. I looked down and then I looked up, and then in a very timid voice I said, good morning, everyone. My name is Joel Rao, and I'm from AIESEC in Strathmore University. There was this eerie silence in the room. She gave me this quizzical look of, did I just hear what I just heard? In my mind, I thought I had my bases covered. Now, granted, at that point in time, I hadn't even joined Strathmore University.
You were not even a student yet.
I wasn't even a student yet. Let me tell you,
Why did you use that then?
Because at the time, everyone from my high school was going to Strathmore University.
And no one in the room had mentioned AIESEC Strathmore.
No one in the room had mentioned AIESEC. So I was like, you know what? I might as well. Lo and behold, the response that I got from the lady, she looked at me and she was like, interesting. I did not know AIESEC was in Strathmore University. And then again, there was this silence. And in my mind, like it's like my whole life
just flashed
before
your eyes.
my eyes. I was like, oh man, I've been caught. This is not right. I'm going to be doomed.
You have to use your aunt.
My aunt, now nepotism. My aunt is going to lose her job. She was just trying to help
all
me
of
out.
the wrong
all
things.
the things that happened happened at that time. Let me tell you. I came back and I sat down, and as soon as I wanted the ground to open up and swallow me, this one lady, I will never forget her name. Her name is Ngendo from AIESEC in University, from AIESEC in USIU. Stood up and said, actually, there is AIESEC in Strath. In fact, there are a child chapter of AIESEC in USIU, and we've been working with them for the last like 2 to 3 years. I'm like, oh, okay, that's nice. Oh.
Was that true?
It was true.
Oh.
That part was true. I was saved.
You were saved by her.
I don't know how. I just say it's divine because it was at that point in time that I decided to join Strathmore. It was at that point in time that I decided that as soon as I joined Strathmore, the first place I'll go to is AIESEC. And that's exactly what happened. I ended up, getting involved with AIESEC. Now, the beauty of this whole, scenario is this, that when I joined AIESEC, you see that whole exposure that these people were talking about. Oh, I'm doing this. AIESEC actually really trained young people to be leaders. And it really opened up my world. I'll not lie. The AIESEC really did open it. It showed me that young Africans could actually sit in rooms with CEOs, policy makers, global leaders, and not as spectators, but actually as real contributors.
Contributors to the conversation.
And that's really what intrigued me completely. A lot of my friends told me, by the time I was in fourth year, a lot of my friends were telling me, Joel, you did not come to Strath to study. You came to Strath to join AIESEC. And it's true, actually. If we talk to our patron in Strathmore University, and his name is Mr. Maingi, he is still the patron until today. He'll tell you this one. In fact, he even came to my office the other day to give a talk to my employees. Like, this one was forever AIESEC. And if you sliced his arm right now,
it would bleed AIESEC.
Yeah. So it really shifted my mindset from local ambition to global responsibility, and actually realized that geography is not a limitation. It's a mindset. The mindset is the limitation. Not geography. We're not limited by where we are or where we are from or how we've grown. our mindset is really what limits us. And that's really what AIESEC taught me. So it got me to travel to so many countries. It got me to experience so many cultures. I got to meet so many people. My career trajectory was actually inspired by some of the people who I attribute my success to are in AIESEC. That's really what it did for me.
Circling back to speaking about AIESEC and it not limiting you to geographical scope, in your upbringing, we can circle back for our audience to also understand how you grew up.
Yeah.
You grew up between Nairobi and Webuye. Tell us that story. Your parents, how did that go about?
Yeah. So I'm half Indian, half Kenyan. I was brought up in Nairobi for probably 10 years of my life. And then my dad moved to Western. So when my dad came to Kenya, he was an engineer. He came in actually in the late 70s from India. And he was among the people who came in to set up some of the sugar factories that we have today. He was a mechanical engineer specializing in boilers. So if you know boilers, when you're in factories, especially sugar factories, you have boilers that actually boil the juice.
Oh.
Yes. So boiler technology is massive. It's not just juice. Even in paper factories, you have boilers. In cardboard factories, you still have boilers. Like boiler technology is there.
Okay.
So he specialized in boilers. So he was brought in to set up some of the boilers. And I think the first one was in Mumia's Sugar, and then Zoya Sugar. And
he's one of the OGs of
the OGs. Yeah, he's one of the OGs in that sense. So he was obviously working for an engineering firm here in Nairobi, and he would travel. So a lot of my life, like my dad, I would be in Nairobi. My dad would travel a lot, go and come back, and I'd be with my mom here in Nairobi. What was really interesting about this whole experience was that at some point he actually wanted to do his own thing. He wanted to be an entrepreneur. So he decided to open his own engineering firm.
Okay.
But he would actually go to the place where he got his first break, I guess. So the companies in Western, the factories in Western are the ones where he actually had most understanding of how they were set up.
Okay.
It's easy for him to actually service them. So he actually set up his own engineering firm. And, credit to him, I saw him go through the struggles of entrepreneurship, and I got to learn a lot from him. But that notwithstanding, you're growing up in Nairobi, and then suddenly your life is moved. Oh, because dad is now setting up his own company, you have to move to Webuye.
Yeah.
The one thing I can tell you to answer your question is that, growing up between Nairobi and Webuye gave me two sets of education. Nairobi showed me exposure. I mean, you're exposed. It's Nairobi, right? But Webuye showed me humility. Because, the moment you move to a house with no electricity, we moved to a house with literally...
you moved to
Shags, kabisa.
Okay.
Yeah, you're moving to a house with no electricity. You're moving to a place where, you don't have we don't have Uhuru Park there. You have Muliro Gardens. So
wow.
Oh, Lord. Yeah. You'd go to, we'd have Luna Park here in Nairobi. Like, there's nothing.
It's the forest.
It's there. The forest there.
Shamba.
It's Shamba. It's just, acres and acres of sugarcane and maize. And, you have like cultural insights like, every year ending with like as 0, 2, 4, 6, 8 is a circumcision year.
Oh, wow.
There. So, you get to see like young kids running naked in the streets, hitting those are like real cultural experiences that you go through. So you can imagine for me.
Coming from Nairobi.
Yeah, coming from Nairobi, we moved there in 97. 98. Culture shock. You just see running. Hey. And then people ask you, hey, have you been circumcised? Umetairiwa? And then they walk you through like what happened. And then you talk to boys. Like I've grown up with boys who've gone through that experience. I'm like, yo, man, like it's like
that ain't gonna be me.
Well, I'm not culturally. I might have been culturally assimilated, but it's not my culture.
Yeah, it's not your culture.
Exactly.
Yes.
But you get to understand that. So when you move from a house with electricity to one without, so suddenly I'm doing my homework
with a candle.
with a candle, or not just a candle. We had these lanterns.
Yes, the lanterns.
Lanterns. Forget the pressure lamps. Ile
Mafuta
mafuta taa.
Yes,
Yeah, exactly that one. You realize that comfort is actually seasonal.
True.
And then for some weird reason, like I don't know, man. Like I can't begin to pinpoint, where exactly this happened. But I remember, we had dogs. I had like 2 German shepherds and 1 sausage dog.
Ooh.
Yeah, and then you're moving to a buye where kids have never seen a German shepherd or a sausage dog. And then they're like, hey, hiyo umbo itachapa umbo ya sijui ya so and so inaitwa Tusker, inaitwa
now when they start comparing the whole dog situation.
Now that is like the tournament you're looking forward to.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and I remember like going through these experiences, and in the evening when you go back home and when you're studying, we never used to have break time. There used to be 2 break times in my school, Lugulu Boarding Primary School.
Oh.
That is where I went.
And were you boarding?
No, I wasn't boarding. At that time, I wasn't boarding. Man, I was like standard 4. Bro, like that's a 10-year-old. I mean, there are kids who used to board at
10?
Yeah.
I mean, I boarded at 8, so.
And more grace to you. But let me tell you, like, I don't know if how it would have been, to be honest with you, but my mom didn't want us to board.
Okay.
So we were day schooling, and a lot of that, got us to appreciate, like, the value of money, the value of comfort. The one thing that you can actually have to yourself that is consistent is discipline. So, what that growing in Nairobi, growing in Webuye, sort of taught me is that, you realize comfort is seasonal.
And you can say that really shaped your perception on money,
It shaped
on life.
But discipline is permanent. So whether or not you're comfortable, you can always wake up at 5 a.m.
and still do the job.
You can still do what you need to do, regardless of whether you're comfortable or whether you're not comfortable. And that's the beauty, because you see a lot of people who are successful in life, like the one thing that is very clear to them is just the discipline of doing that. And the beauty about discipline is that you can always improve. It takes you 21 days to master a discipline. Yeah, to get a habit going for you. And it's just that consistency. You don't have to be perfect at it. It's progress over perfection, ultimately.
Yes.
So it really taught me how to look at things in that way. And then I was just a half glass full kind of kid. Like I was never like, I didn't go through like bouts of throwing tantrums. Oh, now because we don't have electricity, we can't watch Club Kiboko.
You adapted quite easily.
You just adapt. Instead of watching Club Kiboko, you'll go and wait for the other dog to come. Tunangoja Tusker akuje.
They start fighting with your dog now.
Yeah. And they don't fight really. They're just barking at each other. And whichever looks bigger, like, it's... And I sort of like... I credit a lot to that upbringing, going to school and watching kids play soccer without shoes. And then you're the only one in shoes. And then for you to like fit in, you have to remove your shoes and then leave them in class and then go and play. You play soccer out there, fighting, like, who's first body, who's second body, like, like.
Oh my God, we used to do those things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I never used to experience that here in Nairobi, but there it was like, there was a hierarchy of things, But it's, it stayed with me. So, you don't confuse privilege with entitlement, which I see happening a lot today. You never assume that tomorrow is guaranteed.
It's not.
It's not.
Actually,
so
very much so not.
I think discipline before visibility, I think, is the most important thing. If you can get that right, you're golden.
Okay.
But it's a mindset thing at the end of the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's circle now. Let's move a little bit to the present.
Yeah.
Your time in Mexico.
Yes.
Why that decision, and what did that season teach you entirely in your career?
Mexico. Mexico.
Language barrier, another culture shock.
Let me sip my coffee first. I'm telling you, Mexico was such a... Man. It was such an experience. And it didn't just...
How long were you there for?
But I want to say 2 years. This is what happened. So finished uni. I was doing my last exams. And if you know AIESEC, you know you can apply for national leadership, which is MC. So I didn't want to be. Like in my 4th year, I was already in the national office.
Ooh.
Yes, and that was that like no one had ever done that sort of thing. Like me, I was in my 4th year and I'm still in the MC. And then after finishing school, I'm like, oh, maybe I should apply for AIESEC International. So I applied for AIESEC International. I applied for the first round of AIESEC International. I didn't get it.
Oh.
I did not get it. So I applied again. This time around, the opportunity was for AIESEC International, but based in Mexico as head of comms in Mexico. Yeah, so I was going to work with the MC
of
AIESEC in Mexico now.
Yes.
I thought that was a cool assignment. Now, you won't imagine the position that I applied for. Head of Communications and Information Management. Let me stop you right there. You're going to a foreign country to head up communications, of which
you don't speak their language.
Spanish is not your first language.
Wow. Wow.
That's the first thing. The second thing is,
that was such a bold move.
It
Oh
was
my
such
God.
a bold
Yes.
move. I can't even. And do you know what I was thinking that time? I remember when I applied for AIESEC International the first time, I was in Togo. I was in Lome for a conference. And I've never had such a bad interview like that one. And I failed miserably.
Oh.
I failed so miserably. By the time I was being considered for that position in Mexico, which is it's still an AIESEC International opportunity, I was done. I was completely done. Completely done with AIESEC. Like I was complete. First and foremost, I was completely done with school. I'd just finished my uni. I finished my last exam.
Yeah.
I remember my exam was finishing on a Tuesday. The conference in Togo was starting on a Monday. I was a facilitator in that conference, so I had to fly to Ghana, then take a matatu.
From Ghana to Togo.
Whole other experience. That's a book by itself. A bus from Ghana to Lome, which is like a 3 or 4 hour bus drive, and then cross the border into Lome, and then take another bus to go to the conference facility.
Wow.
And I'm telling you, I landed, the conference was ending on Sunday. I landed, I think, on Wednesday night. And I was a facilitator for that conference. So it was an Africa Exchange Leadership Summit, Africa XLDS. And it just brought about all the national leaders across Africa together and national chapter leaders. So like if you're a chapter leader in Strath, in UON, in Makerere University, all of you would come together and attend this summit. And in a way that like really expands your worldview, because you get to understand what is going on in those markets. So I reached there and then I facilitated the conference, and it was such one of the best experiences I've had in my life. And then you're traveling in a foreign country where you like it's a dictatorship,
Yeah.
I think I remember there was a time we were even caught playing soccer in the beach.
And it was an issue.
Because you're all foreigners, you're going to be inciting other young people here. So we were almost taken to jail in Lome.
Oh my
Can you
God.
imagine? Like, it was such a crazy time. I still can't believe how we were living life that I, like, to this day I can't.
You're like, wow.
I'm like, wow. If my daughter came and told me this happened to me, I'm like, can you leave that? But anyway, long story short, what ended up happening was that I went to Mexico simply because I was tired. I was on the verge of quitting, first and foremost. A lot of people don't know this. I was on the verge of quitting. I was done with school. I did not even want to attend my own graduation. So you know what I did? I went to the Macmillan World Atlas. Now, it's a blue. It's light bluish, sky bluish, right? At the last page, if you open the last page, it shows you the world map, right?
Yes.
I looked at that world map and I asked myself, where is the one place I will not find Kenyans? That is literally what I asked. I remember it very vividly, like it was yesterday. And with a Stedler pencil. Mnajua pencil ya Stedler? Yeah. I took it and I circled. I went across the world. I'm like, Latin America, Mexico. I said, oh, Mexico. I remember, there's an opportunity with AIESEC International and Mexico. Let me go and check. So that's how I ended up applying. And I didn't, I think I did like 1 or 2 interviews and I was in. And it was so easy. Like getting into other AIESEC positions was so hard. Like this was so easy. And when I went there, like first and foremost, I had the most cultural shocks that I've ever had in my lifetime. China didn't even shock me that much. Like even Japan didn't even shock me that much. That one.
Mexico was a big blow.
Culture shock. From human sexuality, like, you just see like 2 gay guys openly making out, to people expressing themselves, to family values, the way people regard family, to the way they are so patriotic when they sing the national anthem. People were crying when they're singing the national anthem. And I'm like, yo, this is too much. Like, human
too much all at once. Yeah.
is a lot.
It's a lot in that country.
But it taught me just how to be expressive also as a human being. It just taught me how to just be expressive of what I like and what I love and what I value. And if I don't like it, I just don't like it. And I'll say I don't like it. It taught me cultural intelligence. When you're an outsider, you listen more.
To try and understand.
You observe more and then you adjust faster.
Yeah.
So it sharpened my communication. I had to learn Spanish by there.
You were in a head of communications position.
I had to learn Spanish.
Yeah.
Like even the platforms we were creating had to be in English and Spanish. So I would create them in English and then have my team help me translate to Spanish. This is way before Google Translate. FYI.
So how people are translating? Reading word by word?
Yeah, word by word. And then you translate. Yeah. This is way before Google Translate came into. Yeah, way before.
You're a caveman.
Yeah. I know, right? And it was like less than 15 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. Can I tell you, it's really helped me. It not only sharpened my communication, it also humbled my ego. But it also expanded my ambition. I became more ambitious. The people I met there, there are so many smart people in Mexico who just crossed the border to go to the US and work in the US. The number of software engineers from Mexico
is insane.
Holy crap. There was a time, the late Chris Kirubi I'll never forget. This was so hilarious. So the Mexican government was hosting a leadership, I want to say it was like a leadership summit there for governors. So globally, as long as you're a governor, you'd attend. Now, this is way before Kenya had governors.
Oh.
Yeah. When did that dispensation of that constitution
2013.
happen? 2013. Yeah, it was right before. Just before that time, because Kibaki was still in power.
Yeah.
Chris Kirubi, I remember I had connected with him on LinkedIn. So the late Chris Kirubi had
gone for the summit.
No. He had come for business first before the summit.
And
then, because I was a Kenyan, I think I was like one of 2 Kenyans in Mexico City.
At that time.
Who was young. Because the guy I met, the other Kenyan guy I met was a Kikuyu. I was walking down the street and I saw the Kikuyu guy. I was like, when in Kenya? When in Kenya? And then we had our moment.
Yes.
And then I never saw him again. But I remember I was contacted because of being in AIESEC and being a leader in AIESEC. I was contacted and I was told like, hey, is it possible for us to have you host the Kenyan delegation? And I was like, yeah, why not? So I hosted these Gava guys. And I was in the bus with them. And, they were so happy to see a fellow Kenyan. I met the governor of Mexico City there. In fact, even on my Instagram or Facebook, I can't remember. Like one of my very first photos is with the governor of Mexico. But what was really important about this whole experience was that it just opened up my worldview that as a young guy, I can just present myself like, what's the worst that could happen? They'll tell me no. They'll say no. I'm not, because I'm going through ego death also, I'm not going to suffer in that way. So what ended up happening was I put myself out there. So when I saw Chris Kirubi had flown to Mexico and he was staying at the Grand Regency in Mexico City, I was there. I even have the LinkedIn till today.
Wow.
Yeah. And he responded back to me.
Nice.
And that was how I met him. In
Mexico.
Yeah. And that's how our relationship started with him. And I thank God for the lessons that he gave me. But what was really interesting about this whole experience is that Chris Kirubi wasn't the only billionaire that I met. Like at the time, when I was still serving my time in Mexico, I got a chance to be at a dinner where the second richest man in the world at the time was there. And he is actually an AIESEC patron.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, his name is Carlos Slim. And at the time, he was the second richest man in the world. I didn't know who this man was.
He was just any other.
Like, you're just like another human, which is true. You're just like any other human being. And with the respect that he deserves as an elderly man, to me at that time, I still respect him till today. We exchange like probably comms like probably once every 2 to 3 years. Just check and see if you're doing well.
You're doing well.
But I know his sons are the ones who are driving his businesses right now. But one really interesting thing about him was that he was gracious enough to just approach me and say, "Hey, orale." Orale means hey you. You don't look Mexican. You don't look Latino. You're not from Jamaica.
And you don't look American.
And you do not sound American. Where are you from? And I told him, I'm from Kenya. Kenya is in Africa. Like, so you run.
That's what you were being known for.
Yeah, that's what we're still known for.
Yes,
we ran a lot. And I'm like, yeah, I run. You don't run? And he laughed. But anyway, long story short, he invited me to his office, and it was out of that experience that I actually got an opportunity to work at his organization.
Which was
Telefonica Movistar.
Nice.
Yes. And that is actually how I got into my digital journey, because at the time, Facebook was just thinking of starting to sell ads, but they were selling ads through Google. So if you went on Facebook on their website, you'd see Google ads on the side. And Google was already doing Google. So and that's how I actually got into digital marketing, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
So when I talk about growing your ambition, that's what really Mexico taught me. It sharpened my communication. I've said it already, humbled my ego. It also taught me that African talent can compete anywhere.
I can imagine. As you said, you've met very competitive people there. Yeah.
But I'll say this with a caveat. I think African talent can compete anywhere if prepared.
And do you feel you were prepared for it?
I feel I was prepared. I think AIESEC prepared me for those moments.
Tops to AIESEC,
AIESEC prepared me for those moments.
AIESEC has been mentioned more times than your own name in the entire podcast.
Well, I would imagine, because that was your line of questioning, my man. But yeah, I mean, I think if prepared, and I credit all this to, that whole, if you think about the vision when World War II was happening, and two friends exchanged letters because they were friends from across the divide. One was from France, the other one was from Germany. And there's the war going on. And then, they say, how cool would it be if there was peace and fulfillment for humankind's potential? Peace and fulfillment. Just think about those statements. For humankind's potential. How powerful would it be? And it was out of that they believe that young people are the ones who are going to be able to do this. And hence, the reason why they decided to focus on creating an association for students interested in science and economics. So AIESEC is a French acronym for Association of International Students Interested in Sciences and Economics. Because those are the people who are going to change the world. That's so when you think about famous leaders across the world, probably went through presidents have gone through AIESEC. And it was great. It's phenomenal. I'm still involved with AIESEC today.
Now, we've talked a lot about successes.
Yeah.
I would like us to talk about a little bit of some setbacks in, let's say, projects that you've done within your career as you're growing up. What setbacks would you say really shaped you?
Wow. Yes. Setback. Fast forward. I come back to Kenya. I get recruited by a company called InMobi. InMobi is the world's largest independent mobile advertising network right now. Yeah, rivaling Google. If you go check them out, InMobi, INMOBI. BI in Mobi. I was actually heading up a lot of their, or not really heading up, I was like an account director for the clients that we had across Africa. So we had tier 1 markets, which were South Africa, Kenya, Nigeria. Then tier 2 markets were Ghana, Uganda, Tanzania, and so on and so forth. So that's how a lot of our business was from from Kenya, South Africa, and Nigeria. Yeah. First failure. So I'll never forget me being interviewed first and foremost to join this company. I was told that I was bullshitting my way. Imagine the guy said, am I allowed to curse?
Please.
He was like, Joel, stop bullshitting me. If you don't know what you're doing, just say you don't know what I'm doing. And I was like, I didn't know what I was doing.
You didn't know what you were doing. And you were a whole account director?
No, this is way before I became. This is when I was interviewing for the role.
Okay.
And I was still in Mexico that time when I was being interviewed. Stop bullshitting me. If you don't know what you're doing, you don't know. I was being told how to do pivot tables. It was a thing around pivot tables.
Okay.
And I was given a set of data and I was told, like, create pivot tables out of it. And I was like, excuse me, sir, I have a Linux computer. It doesn't have Excel, blah, blah. I was like, come on, Joel, this is supposed to take 2 minutes maximum. I'll give you 5 minutes. If you don't know, don't tell me this. Don't. His name is Ankit Rawal. Never forget the guy. Very hilarious. I'm still in touch with the Ankit. Ankit is such a cool guy. Such a cool guy. And he tells me, like, if you're serious about this position, tell me now. And I will forward your name. And if you do not want this job, tell me right now and you stop wasting my time. Like, I failed in that question you've told me to answer for
what
pivot
more
tables.
Do you
what
want
more
from
do you
me?
want from me? So I told him, let me think about it. And it was evening my time. So I slept through it. And then in the morning, very early in the morning, I went and responded to him. I said, like, hey, Ankit, I'm still interested in this. I still have that email trail till today where I should frame this stuff. So what really happened was that he came back and he accepted. So when I flew back to Kenya,
after you had already failed at the interview.
Yeah, I'd already failed miserably. Miserably. I failed so badly. This guy accepted and then he allowed me to take up, like, to go to the next level of the interview. And when I went to the next level of the interview, I'm telling you, Sean, I met AIESEC Nyong'o, who was now the VP for Africa. And then I went for this interview. And in this interview, I think she asked me 2 or 3 questions. And then she did most of the talking. Like, I even sat down, I'm like, is this an interview?
Or
is it a
this
briefing? Like, what exactly is happening?
Yeah.
And, she was gracious enough. And even after the interview and after I got the job, I was like, hey, but there, AIESEC, when I came for the interview, you did most of the talking. I did not do most of the talking. And she was like, oh, that's very nice feedback. And I gave her feedback. Like, again, you're a human being like me. I might as well just give you feedback. What was really interesting about that whole experience is that as Ankit was my direct line manager, and this is where the failure came in, he would come and say, Joel, we have a client like Samsung. Samsung wants to sell phones. How can we guarantee return on investment for Samsung? And I'm like, return on investment, it's advertising. Come on, like, the more people know about your product,
the more they'll buy.
No, Joel. You need to tell me. Because with the digital, he used to say with the digital, not with digital, with the digital, people are pedantic about the numbers. You are going to get scrutiny in everything that you do. And I'm like, but why? Why doesn't TV get that scrutiny and they have the biggest budgets? Like, it doesn't matter. This is the world. Deal with it. I got a campaign for Samsung. Failed miserably. I can't remember. I think it was the S. Either the S2 or the S4 was launching. Failed miserably. In fact, they spent, like, I remember that time spending $15,000 was like, oh my god.
Oh my god.
A lot of money.
That was the budget?
That was the budget. 3 months, $15,000, $5,000 a month.
That was a lot of money.
That
back
was a
then.
lot of money.
Yes.
It's less than 11 years ago. 10, 11 years ago.
Oh my god.
Tell me, return on investment. I've invested $15,000 with you. How many sales have we made? I'm like, I don't know. Like, seriously, I don't know.
That's always your response?
Yeah, because I didn't know how to do it.
You didn't know how to track
that was the first failure. First failure. Put a pin on that one. So,
Failure number one.
that is failure number one because it's all tied to each other. Hey, yeah, my friend. In Mobi shuts down. They decide to they got investment from SoftBank in Japan. SoftBank is a massive investment arm. They insist that you need to become number one in your markets that are not number one. So the US, Japan, the UK. You need to be number one in those markets. Already in Africa, we were number one. Google wasn't even number one that time. Google was number two. Google was scared of us. I remember going for conferences with Google guys and they're like, this in Mobi guys. One thing led to another. And what was really interesting about this whole experience was I worked at WPP, left WPP, started my own, joined a group of investors who are within the advertising space.
Was this WPP Scan Group or Global?
Yeah, no, WPP Scan Group here. I joined WPP Scan Group, but I was there for like 4 months. And then as a media director.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was setting up the digital division for Ogilvy to run Airtel's campaigns online. That is really...
Airtel has always been with Ogilvy for that long?
Hey, Airtel has been with Ogilvy for a hot minute.
So them leaving this time was quite a shocker.
It was a statement move, to be honest with you. Yeah. Anyway, so that happens. And then as that is going on, Royco, we pitch on Unilever. We pitch on Axe. Axe becomes a client now with this new company, not with WPP, with Smoke Signal now, which is the company now I joined with. And I became an equity partner of that cohort. It was the first time now being told, you're owning shares outrightly.
That's when you became...
That's when I was like, I can be an owner too. And then so...
You got Axe.
Then Royco was the second client. And I'll remember this client, God bless her heart. Her name is Simpire. Simpire came and told me, Joel, I'm going to give you... we have our bosses coming in. We would like to grow our Facebook community. And she comes and tells me, I'm giving you 80,000 euros, the biggest PO I've ever gotten at that point in time. And tells me...
Even now getting that budget is quite...
it's huge. And she was like, I need us to grow the community for Royco on Facebook. And I'm like, bet money. We were working on What's for Dinner at that time to grow that What's for Dinner platform. And she's like, yeah, let's run it. And I start running the campaign. And she's like, actually, we need to run this campaign to grow our community, so to grow followers. So basically, you're buying followers. So we start. And failure number 2, because it's a return on ad spend, you're supposed to show cost per follower. The more money we put in, the higher the cost per follower.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like if you
because
said
they were not aligning, they were not increasing as you are spending more.
The more you spend, like you reach a point of diminishing returns. Like at that point in time, I did not even understand
diminishing
returns. Now, I had gone through analysis in Mobi and I got to understand all these things, but it was still a bit foreign. And then she came and back and told me, I just want to pay for my followers. Just charge me for my followers that I get. So whatever cost per follower value I give her, she'll pay for that.
She'll pay for that.
And that was okay. But I still failed miserably at that because...
You were not getting her a lot of followers.
No, we were getting her a lot of followers, but at what cost? You understand?
She was paying for followers that were not...
Yeah, like you're getting followers, but man, and the systems weren't... Attribution modeling at that time wasn't built out the way it is right now. So we continue. Then Aromat came, but with the Aromat campaign was something that I did also. And at that time, and this is also a failure, was the campaign did so well that...
The Aromat campaign.
Yeah, the Aromat campaign. But with the Aromat campaign did so well because it was the same lady, it was the same client.
Yes.
But with Aromat did so well to the point where you run out of stock And then whatever product that is put on shelf, someone somewhere says this is GMO. So what happens?
Oh my God.
Just like that,
Plummeted.
sales plummet from there. You're on such a high, sales
You hit
plummet.
low.
And it was those sort of failures that, like, had I known that it was my job for me to be able to know, like, hey, there's this sentiment that is coming up online that this is, and it actually started online. The same way we seeded the campaign online for But With Aromat is the same way that
It's the same way they ended it.
And just like that.
But the product wasn't GMO.
It had GMO.
Oh.
It had GMO. I think there was a shipment, if I'm not wrong. I might be wrong. I stand to be corrected, but I think there was a shipment that had GMO because the product was doing so well. I think that when they were shipping in new product, it had GMO.
But the original products did not have.
The ones that were on shelf, at least to the best of my knowledge. But I still consider that a failure for me personally.
You feel like you should have
I should have caught it and brought it up immediately, because to be honest with you, But With Aromat is somewhat got me into that, because out of the But With Aromat campaign, I won a Mobile Marketing Association Award, an MMA award. The very first MMA, I think bronze that they won, got nominated for a bunch of other awards globally. It got me to appreciate like creativity in the science, in the marketing, because marketing is both an art and a science. We tend to forget the science, or we tend to overcompensate on the science side, and we forget the artistic side. It has to. It's a yin and a yang. We tend to do that. So out of that, I focused heavily on results, performance marketing, numbers, efficiency. But I learned that results without emotional alignment create silent resistance. That's what I really came to understand, because I had such a numbers background. I'm a software engineer by profession. That ROI, that ROI question that
you are asked,
it haunted me.
It
haunted me until that. But with ROI, I'm like, hold up. If only I can be able to connect with consumers emotionally. It failed because we overcompensated, in that sense. So one project didn't fail because of strategy. It failed because, we didn't listen deeply enough, in my opinion.
In your opinion.
Yeah, and I wish I caught it on time. But that changed me. So today I measure culture as much as I measure ROI. That's really how it changed me.
Now, we've seen your growth to WPP, to Ogilvy, to the Aromat campaign.
Yeah, Aromat came after, like at Smoke Signal. That was the name of the company, yeah.
But then you've been in leadership positions, high-level leadership positions, to now being co-CEO at Dentsu.
Yeah.
You've led teams, large teams, different agencies, different companies. How has that been? How has that shaped your trajectory even as you've moved up the food chain in positions?
To be honest with you, leadership is something that started off in AIESEC. Leaders are not born, they're actually made. So the more you go through leadership, the more you become better at it. So it didn't matter whether someone was on top of me at InMobi. I was always going to be a leader around. It's something that you carry.
Okay.
Right? If I'm going to speak, because of the leader that I am. Because guess what? I didn't start speaking at the conference for InMobi where there are 500 people. I was speaking at conferences where there were 4,000 people, across the board. In foreign countries, I was able to facilitate, I was able to listen, I was able to understand.
So you've grown through leadership.
I was going through leadership and for you to be a good leader, you also have to learn how to be led. Right? So you have to sit down under people. So the Carlos Slims of this world, the Ankits of this world, the Isis Nyongos of this world, even my own father, I had to sit and understand this is what it takes to be led. And for you to understand, like, this is what good leadership looks like, for you to understand that, hey, I can actually, a lot of my leadership style, to be honest with you, has been crafted from all the people who led me.
Oh, wow. So everyone had an impact.
Everyone has had for you to be a good leader, in my mind, you had to have had an impact of someone who was there. Stephen Newton, the guy who brought in Google to Africa, he was the very first guy who brought in Google from the UK and set up Google in South Africa. After Smoke Signal, I went through such a bad time, like where I was like, I felt so demotivated because of work. I felt I was being used. You know, my salary wasn't coming in on time, yet I'm out here slaving, you know, spending sleepless nights, not spending time with my family, not spending time with my kids, you know, going out there, all this. But with the Aromat campaign, the Axe campaign, Kiss Your Way to Rio was something that I did with Smoke Signal.
Yeah.
I'm doing all this.
All this, but nothing was...
I'm not being valued. You know, I traveled to London with this one of the investors, and I was left to pay for my own bill, and I hadn't even been
paid yet.
I hadn't been paid yet. Like, Sean, if I tell you the stories of crap that I went through, and I was like, this is not the leadership that I want.
Right? This is not what you
This is
expected.
not what I want.
Yeah.
And the moment you make a decision, the moment I made a decision, like, enough is enough, I think I have had enough of crap. The moment I drew the line on the sand, it's like God hears your cries, or you know, whatever you want to believe in, the stars aligned. Because around the same time is when I got my opportunity now to go to South Africa and work with a performance marketing company. The company that now honed my ability to be a true performance marketer. Because I had come from now understanding, like, oh my gosh, emotional intelligence, listening to the consumer. Yeah. Now I can focus on the ROI side.
Yes.
And then all of that comes together. And then it was when I met Stephen Newton, because Stephen Newton was the one who was running this company. Incubator is the name of the company. It's still running till today. I think it's the world's largest independent performance marketing agency group in the world, if I'm not wrong. That's and one of my really good friends who was running iProspect in South Africa is now running it now. Yeah. It's so funny the way the world works. But it was out of meeting Stephen Newton that I met my business partner in the entertainment side, where I could hone creativity, I could hone in the arts, and like I had a true passion for the arts. To be able to see, like, you know, human beings can, like, artistry is actually what made, you know, modern civilizations, like, you know, the Roman empires, the American Empire. If you think about even the Japanese Empire, if you travel to Japan, the amount of art that's there, it's crazy, like the way it shapes society. So even for us, even as a country, because we are shaping up and we're taking the arts very seriously now, it's going to contribute positively into our civilization as a people. And for me, just because history always repeats itself. We form culture. It's out of this artisticness that culture is formed, in my opinion. So when I got to understand that, it gave me a really great understanding of number one, an appreciation for history, because it's out of history that you can easily tell what the future holds. And out of that, it becomes a great segue into doing this. And because of people like Stephen Newton, Stephen Newton like pinpointed me from a bunch of people, and he taught me how to, like, spot and nurture talent, for example. You know, how to look for hunger, how to look for, you know, skill set can be trained. Hunger cannot be trained. No wonder Ankit asked me that question. You know, don't bullshit me.
Don't bullshit me.
If you really want this role, if you're really hungry, you want it, the rest we can train. You know, it's that's ingrained something in me. In all honesty, I think it's really ingrained a lot in that sense. Yeah.
You've mentioned at some point you felt as though you were not there for your kids because of work.
Yeah.
How has fatherhood been, and how has that also shaped your career-wise and balancing priorities, of course?
Man, Sean, you're gonna make me cry. Fatherhood has really reordered my priorities. In all honesty, it forced me to ask.
How many kids do you have?
4 daughters.
Oh wow! You and your baby, the house is just full of women. How is that?
Damn. And I still want a son.
Really? Okay.
I'm putting it out into the universe.
The Lord has heard your prayers.
Yeah, He knows. He knows. I'm still very young.
You will make it.
I will make it.
You got this.
If my dad got me at 50.
You're kidding.
Yeah. My dad got me at 50.
No way.
Yeah, my dad got me at 50.
You have time. You have time.
I still have a lot of time. I have 13 years
you
to
still
50.
have time.
I still have time. Yeah. Anyway, Fatherhood actually forced me to ask very pertinent questions, in all honesty. It forced me to ask,
Especially being a father to girls.
exactly,
Yeah.
am I building something that outlives me? It got me to ask questions like, am I modeling discipline or am I just preaching it? You know, when I got my first daughter at 24.
Wow.
How old are you?
21.
Oh, 21. 21, I think I was either finishing uni, if I'm not wrong. I got my first daughter at 24.
So you've really built your career through fatherhood as
Through
well.
fatherhood, it has always been there.
Yeah.
My daughters don't care about awards. I mean,
Yeah,
dad
dad
top
is
40.
winning, yes.
Yeah, go top 40 and a 40.
Yeah.
But they really don't care about it. You know, is that what I have to live for them? That their dad was the most awarded, I don't know, creative agency man out there? Have you watched what's this TV show where Don Draper is the main guy? Mad Men.
Yes.
Have you watched Mad Men?
Yes.
And you can see how like Don, I mean, right now the things they used to do would be frowned at upon. But I would imagine like if I was going to be the Don Draper of my generation, like
how would you want to be?
How would I want my daughter? Have I played a role in breaking the proverbial glass ceiling? Because now I have only daughters. Am I breaking glass ceilings for them? Or am I contributing towards that? Am I contributing to eliminating stereotypes, especially when it comes to women or it comes to people with disabilities? What exactly am I doing? Like those questions haunt me. To some point where I remember I was even having a conversation with Samantha and I was telling Samantha, I'm very appreciative of the woman that you are and the sacrifices that you've made, because guess what? My daughters will not have to make these sacrifices. Yeah. Could you put on this thing? It's getting a bit hot.
Getting hot. We are actually done.
Oh, we're done?
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
cool.
just 2 questions and then we finish.
Yeah.
So we have just 2 last questions. One is, what mindsets do you think the next generation of Africa, to be exact, must unlearn to move forward?
Cool. Unlearning. You know, we're in a constant of learning and unlearning.
Yes. So we're focusing on the unlearning because we've grown up in a society where we're told this is what needs to be done. This is right. This is wrong. So what do you think we need to unlearn in our mindset for us to grow to the next generation?
Thank you for asking this question, because I think I'm also constantly going through the same thing. And I'll give you my
unlearning.
Number 1, victim mentality. We need to unlearn victim mentality whereby you're always the victim.
Or that everything is happening to you.
Yeah, things are happening to me because of this account. Or because I've moved to a buoy.
Also, I can't do this. Yeah. Or I didn't succeed because my parents didn't have this. Yeah, I know that, yes.
No.
If I had a good phone,
that's
I would.
Victim mentality. If I had a good phone, if I had this, if I had that, you just make do with what you have.
Yeah.
I think short-term thinking is also another one.
What do you mean by short-term thinking?
Thinking tomorrow. Like, I'll get this job. And this goes along, especially when it comes to young, and I've talked about this with young people quite a bit when they come to negotiating for salaries for their first jobs. I'm like there are things that will make you live comfortably and you can like live. And then there are certain things, there are certain salaries that would help you like
be secure for the next 6 months, 1 year.
So short-term thinking would be like, hey, you know, your expectation is 100K, for example, but you're being offered 80K take home. Yet it's a good environment where you can learn, where you can grow, where you can network. The work culture is great.
Yes.
But because of that 20K difference,
you say
now, I'm not saying 20K is not a lot of money. It is a lot of money. You know, people are taking care of other people. It's not just themselves. That
20K might be someone else's.
Someone else's. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I think when I talk about short-term thinking, is like, why are we looking at now or tomorrow or the day after tomorrow to
about the future,
rather than can I think 3, 4, 5 steps down the line?
growing in
right?
that position.
I'll give you an
earning
example.
more.
And this is now so I met my partner in entertainment. His name is Colin Gale. Really dope human being. He's really helped me also grow in my own career. I met him in my 20s, and I've known him for, well, I think over 12 years, 13 years, give or take. When I met Colin was all about entertainment. He worked on G Unit. He worked on 50 Cent. He worked on G Unit. He set up the G Unit brand. Everything you see about G Unit, it's him. He worked on the Obama campaign when Obama was coming on. Yeah, he worked on the Obama campaign. He even worked on the Hillary campaign when Hillary was running against Trump the first time.
Okay.
Right? Now, and his whole thing was all around marketing from a cultural lens as opposed to marketing from a demographic lens. Very different. We might be the same demographic profile, but from different cultures, even if we're from the same country, right? So he was all about marketing within a cultural environment. And this is something that he has been doing for very many years.
Okay.
And obviously through music, film, TV, the arts. One thing he mentioned to me that I will always take home was that when it comes to being given an opportunity, inadvertently, he taught me how to never say no to an opportunity. Because he came and told me when he brought Neo to Kenya, he's the one who brought Neo to Kenya to do Coke Studio.
Yeah.
That's a whole story by itself again. And then, we did the Diamond deal then. Diamond and Neo got to do their song, Marry You. That's how we represented Diamond. That's how
Diamond got into the global stage.
That's how Africa Creative Agency was formed.
Was born, yes.
It was actually out of that whole scenario. He told me, young man, have you ever thought about getting into the business of entertainment? And I'm like, I have no idea
what you're talking about.
Me, I'm stuck up in my creativity
and performance
based and working with brands.
Yes.
It's like, but do you know, like, human beings can also be brands? And then he gave me the example, like, Ronaldo is a soccer player.
Yeah.
But he has a brand behind him. He has a perfume line. He has an underwear line. He has a fashion brand. He has got this. He's got that. I was like, think about it in that way. And then he gave me the story of how 50 Cent went and bought Powerade, the one that Coca-Cola bought.
Oh yes.
Powerade was actually a brand that, like, he went to I can't remember whether he was in Detroit or where he was, but the story goes that he went to gym and these guys they had their own energy drink, like electrolytes that you would take after working out, and he really liked it. And then it was a father and a son who owned this brand.
The brand.
And he decided that
to
buy it from them. And said, like, and everywhere I go, for every press conference that I'll have this
always
power.
Have it.
I'll always have that bottle on every press conference. Like, everywhere I go when I'm on stage, and this is what I'm having. And then it became the thing. And then what happened? Coca-Cola came and bought it from 50.
Wow.
And, surprisingly, you think about, like, these guys never said no. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Why not? It's the same thing. He told me, like, the same thing. Like, there's a behind 50, you have G Unit, and then you have this Powerade. I've forgotten the name. Yeah, I know it's an electrolyte drink. And because of that experience, just like that, he had a brand. G Unit Films came out of the G Unit brand that was created. It was human brands. The human beings are brands. Even you, Sean, you're a brand by yourself. Yeah, I am a brand by myself, and it only takes one to be able to focus on that. And so for us, we're looking at the arts, film, TV, music. Beyond Savara, the human being. Who is Savara?
The brand,
for example.
Yeah.
Okay. So when he told me about that, and then he started training me, like, he gave me books to read. He gave me, like, started even telling me to write, proposals for William Morris and whatever. And when I started getting to understand it, I remember in 2015, 2016, about 10 years, actually we're celebrating 10 years this year in October for Africa Creative Agency. We were walking around in Nairobi when we used to call ourselves two black men with iPhones and a tablet talking about the business of entertainment, and no one was understanding
it. And
at
right
that
now
time.
it's $1
And
billion
now
industry.
it's a thing 10 years later.
Yeah.
So, for you to see, what came of Africa Creative Agency, Africa Film and TV, Africa Creative Agency Film and TV, representing Paul Tusi, Celeste Ntuli, Brenda Wairimo, Sarah Hassan, Claudia Naisabwa.
Yeah.
Claudia is actually my latest client, and she's doing
you
phenomenally
are
well.
Flying her out like no man's business.
And notwithstanding, like if you see like what Brenda and Sarah are doing, like my gosh, those two powerhouses of brands, here in Kenya. In the music space, we did work with Sauti Sol on the Midnight Train project, and we then also did work with the individual album. That's actually how our record label was formed. Exodus.
Yes.
Exodus,
out
of the individual record label, record projects that Savara, Bien, Chimano, Polycarp wanted to do. It came about from that, and now we have very new talent that have been signed to Nanette, Zoe. I can't mention the Kenyan who we are signing because he hasn't signed yet, but
you're excited.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's those interesting opportunities that I see that like, hey, we need to be able to do that. And out of that now we can begin to see brands now forming.
Yeah.
Platforms forming. Brand properties that outlive
yourself.
us,
Yeah.
outlive me.
Okay.
So to your point, I think those are some of, there's one more thing I want actually to mention. The last thing, dependency on external validation. So for short-term thinking, had I thought when he asked me, like, are you interested in the business of entertainment? And I thought, no,
you're good.
I'm good.
Paliuko.
Working in Cape Town.
Yeah.
Coming to Nairobi, I'm good.
Yeah.
10 years later,
you've expanded. You've
expanded
grown.
my worldview. Yeah.
That's cool.
And I can't wait for the next 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, right here at Inspire, we have one question that we ask all our guests.
Yeah.
What inspired you, or what still inspires you?
Oh my gosh. I've said this before. I've said this in other podcasts, in other forums. I think one thing that I believe is more valuable than gold, silver, bronze, platinum, whatever, oil, is the human potential. So I'm inspired by potential.
Okay.
By the idea that a child in freaking Webuye, in Nairobi, Accra, Lagos, or Kigali. I've never been to Kigali. I really want to go, by the way.
There's a CEO's forum in May.
In May?
Yes.
Ebu, I'm getting on that one. Yeah. A child from any of these towns or cities can actually build something global without abandoning their identity. The identity forms that
forms the dreams, the ambition, the potential, and who they become.
Yeah. I'm inspired by disciplined ambition, not just raw ambition. Disciplined ambition.
Okay.
I'm inspired by people who rise quietly. Okay. I think success is not loud. I think it's quiet. It's consistent. You build systems, you invest in others, you literally give of yourself to others. I'm inspired by people like that.
Okay.
I'm inspired by you. You're giving of yourself. You're bringing people together. You're creating a plan. And I told you this during your launch, by the way. And that's why I gave you the flowers that I gave you. I'm inspired by people who leave impact. And they leave impact without noise.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be talking about Carlos Slim had Carlos Slim not done that for me.
Yeah.
And he did that in silence.
He didn't do that in a big, loud.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm inspired by people who rise quietly, who build systems, invest in others.
Okay.
And most of all, I think I'm inspired by responsibility.
Okay.
The responsibility to build something worthy of those who will come after us.
Okay. Yeah. That's nice.
So to me, that is leadership.
Nice. That's it?
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a wrap. Thank you. And I'll see you on the next one.